Today I'm going to be harvesting honey from one of our beehives, and I'm going to do two things in this video. I'm going to show you the entire process and explain how to harvest honey, and I'm going to share all of the really helpful tips that I got from a lot of the local older beekeepers around here. I read an entire 300-page book about beekeeping and harvesting honey, and then I also took a beekeeping course. And those were very helpful, but honestly, talking to the older local beekeepers that have been beekeepers for 50 plus years, I learned way more from them than I did from the courses and the book, because they shared with me tips that I didn't hear anywhere else. And those tips were so helpful in this process. So I'll share with you all those tips and show you everything. Let's go. The first thing that I always do before I harvest honey is I get my smoker ready. This takes a little while to start smoking, so I always get it ready before I put my bee suit on. That way, by the time I get down there, it's already smoking and ready to go. Okay, so underneath my beekeeping suit, I just wear whatever clothes I have on. I don't worry about that. Some people do like to wear 2 layers of long sleeve clothing, like leggings and a long sleeve shirt, because sometimes, like when you're working, if your bee suit gets tight on part of your body, like your elbow or your knee, if there's a bee there, they can sting you through the suit, especially because this is a really cheap beekeeping suit off of Amazon. I think I paid like 30 bucks for this thing. You have to wear boots, and the boots go inside of the pants like this. That way, the bees cannot get in there. If you tuck your pants into your boots like this, trust me, the bees will find a way in and you will get stung. So always put the suit over the boots. And then of course, this will go over your head. I don't do that though until I get down there. All right, now the stuff that I'm taking with me that you will also need, I got all of this in a kit that I will link in the description below. It was cheap off Amazon and it works great. Of course, is going to be gloves. These are leather, which I really, really like. It's a lot better dexterity than some of the other ones that are like made of synthetic material. This is a bee brush, which is really going to help you brush the bees off of the frames. This is not necessary, but it is very helpful. It comes in the kit. You want to use this. This right here is what I call my bee crowbar. It's called a Hive Tool, and you're going to use this to pry yourself into those beehives, because trust me, the wax that they put in there, it locks that thing up like Fort Knox. You're not going to be able to pull it off with your hands. So you'll need this to pry it open and to get everything apart. And this right here is what I use to pull the frames out of the boxes. Again, this is not something that you have to have, but it comes in this kit that I'm going to link below. And it's just so much easier than using your bare hands, because this gets a really good tight grip on it to pull it out. So, all right, we are down here at our beehives, and you can see bees doing their thing, going in and out. This smaller hive, we will not be harvesting honey from. This is a new hive this year, so we will be able to get honey from that one next year. This one, though, these bees are killing it. This is a hive from last year. So you can see the 2 large brood boxes that are at the bottom, and then on top, those smaller ones, that's the 3 medium boxes, and that's what's full of honey. So we're going to be harvesting that. And I also forgot to mention that I brought this big cooler down, and this is one of the best tips that I got from one of the local beekeepers. And it is to bring this down to put the frames in, because the bees, they like to work and they're attracted to the smell of the honey. So when you take the frames out, if you were to just like set them on a wheelbarrow, you would have truthfully thousands of bees just constantly flying around it, because they're trying to do their thing. But by scraping all the bees off, you put it in here each time you grab one of the frames out, and then you shut it. The bees can't get to it, and then you don't have to worry about the bees following you to wherever you take your honey. Also, we're going to be harvesting this in the garage, because same thing, as soon as you pull it out, if you are out in the yard or the bees have access to you, they will come to this, and you're going to be doing this with tons of bees flying on you and around you. So it's so much easier to get it locked into this, get it into your garage, shut all the doors, and then get the work done. Okay, so I'm going to use my smoker. I have done it without the smoker before, but just being honest, it's way easier with the smoker, because with the smoker, it forces the bees down into the hive because of the smoke. If you don't do that, you'll have thousands of bees flying around, and it's just a lot easier to do with this. So anyway, let's get to it. See that? A few bees on it, so that's off. And it's always good to avoid loud thumps. If you make a loud thump during any of this process, it really agitates and scares the bees, and they kind of go crazy. So try to just be really smooth with it. Now I'm gonna get out my Hive Tool, and I'm gonna smoke a little bit at the top, and you'll notice naturally a few bees start coming out. This bigger hive is a little bit more aggressive than my other hive. My small hive is really docile. They don't ever try to come out and sting me, but see them coming around me? That's okay. Okay, I want to show you up close. So when the bees are filling the hive, they start from the bottom and move their way up. So whenever you put the boxes on top, obviously they're empty. So this box has been on here for about 2 weeks, and you can see that they are working their way up here and starting to make honey. So we're gonna take this box off because it's almost empty, and we're gonna harvest honey from this one, which should be all the way full or nearly full. And then when we take this one off, we will put that one back down in its place and close it up, and we'll take all the honey out of this guy right here. And just for reference, my honey supers, they have 9 frames. The brood boxes have 10 frames, and the 9 frames, when it's full of honey, is about 50 pounds of honey. It's pretty fascinating. So that's the one that's only been on there a few weeks. They're just not working on it. But first of all, listen to this sound. Look at these bees down in here working. See how tight of quarters it is in there? There's just enough room for those bees to wiggle in between those frames. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And you can see that right there. That's honey. Okay, so now I'm just gonna take my grabber and I'm gonna grab the full frames and just take them out. Look at this. I hope it's focused. See all that? That is capped honey. Anything that is still an open circle, that's just not capped, that's okay. But do you see all that? Honey on both sides. Absolutely amazing. So then I just take my bee brush. You'll see a lot of people shake them really hard. I don't know. I kind of like to baby my bees, so I just brush them off there real gently. Once I get all the bees off, I put it in here. And then let me show you the inside of the cooler. There it is. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so it's actually a few hours later because we had to take care of some stuff on the farm, but I did finish harvesting the honey. I think we got 7 frames. I'll show you those in just a second. And I put the hive back together. My only tip with putting the hive back together is make sure you put every piece back in. It's easy when you're in the rush and there's thousands of bees flying around you to not put it back correctly. So just make sure that however it was when you took apart, you put it all back together. So let me show you what we got. It's now sunset, as you can tell, so it's dark outside, not the best lighting, but oh my goodness. Look at all that capped honey. Isn't that amazing? Wow. And because it's nighttime now, we don't have to worry about bees swarming around us because they're all in their hive for bed. So we can actually do this outside. We don't have to do it in the garage. But if it was still daytime, the bees were still out, I would definitely be doing this over on our garage. Wow, look at this one. Look at how thick that honey is from side to side. That bottom part sticks out probably 2.5 inches thick. So the way that you actually extract the honey is you get a knife. You can buy a knife specifically for this, but I personally like this really cheap knife because it's very thin, so you don't scrape off too much. And then you're just gonna scrape off this layer that's holding the honey in, and that's called the cap. So you, wow, that's right, buddy. So you're gonna scrape off just that layer, and that's going to expose all of the honey that's inside these cells. You're gonna scrape off both sides, and then that's gonna go in your extractor, which is the thing that you spin, and the centrifugal force pulls all the honey out of all those cells. And this right here is that. So you'll put a frame here, a frame there, and then when you spin it, it spins really, really, really fast. And all of the honey will get shot out to the sides, and then it'll flow down with gravity, and then it comes out that port. Okay, so let's start the process. We've got 7 frames. I'm gonna do this in sections. We're gonna do 2 frames at a time. Also, as I scrape off the wax caps, I'm going to put them in this. This is just like one of those salad spinner things, and all the wax is gonna go in there, and gravity will naturally drop down any honey below it, and then I'll have all the wax that I can then harvest and render down to wax to make candles and use for all kinds of other stuff, which is the beeswax. I'll show that in another video. Let's harvest this honey. All right, so we're just gonna scrape out very gently that top layer. See that? And you will see that honey start to flow out. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. And then all that's just gonna go down in that bowl. All right, my boys are watching too, so there's gonna be some background noise, which is fine.
Oh, I love that. Mom, why do bees make the holes?
Those are called cells, and that is what they put the honey in.
Oh.
Okay.
Mommy, look like a ginormous pill.
Does it?
Yeah, the pills are red inside.
Yeah, sometimes they are.
Look at it.
All right, this side's done. Now we're gonna flip it over and do this side.
Wow.
Okay, now you just put it right into your honey extractor. Okay, so the first 2 are loaded in. Now all we're gonna do is spin this really fast. All right, give it a go. Start spinning. And sometimes with the hand crank ones, you have to hold it because they really start to take off. Faster, bud, faster, faster, faster. They make electric ones too, but I like these. Can you see the honey being slung to the outside? Faster, faster, faster. Okay, mommy's turn. Let mommy try. Hold it, hold it. Good job. Now, what you gotta do, because it extracted the outside, you have to flip it over, put it back in, and you do it again. And of course, you obviously have to flip both of them.
Look at all that honey.
All right,
So
let's
much
give it another
honey.
spin. Okay, it's done. And when you pull the frames out, you can see how all of the honey is extracted and all of those cells are now empty. Isn't that amazing? All right, I'm gonna turn on a time lapse and we're just gonna keep working through the process. Okay, we are done up here. I got the extractor inside. Let's go jar up that honey. We brought it inside to the kitchen table, and here we go. All you're gonna do is open this lever. There it comes. And my setup here is really simple and it works well. At the top, you can see that I just have a fine mesh colander. Underneath that is just one of those cookie cooling drying rack things, and that's on top of a bowl, which of course collects the honey. And I put it through the fine mesh strainer because that removes any impurities or beeswax that may have gotten into the honey during the harvesting process. First big bowl is filled. I'm gonna let that finish dripping, and then I'm gonna fill our first set of jars. We are ready to start packaging the honey, and I just wanted to stop for a second to explain a couple of things. So first thing is I'm using 2 bowls so I can rotate. So while one is draining and straining through to the bottom, the other one is getting packaged into jars. I do pint-sized jars to sell. I do the half pints to give away for Christmas gifts, and then I do the quarts just for more storage, honestly. And then you can also see here, this is all of the wax caps. I have it sitting in this. This is a salad spinner, one of those things. So it's in the top part and it's straining down into here. Now, as you can tell, there are some bits and pieces that are still making it through, which is fine. When I go to jar this in about a week, because that's how long I'm gonna let it sit here and let the gravity collect that honey down, I'll run it back through this mesh colander again so that the honey is pure like this. So also look at how dark this honey is. It is a very dark honey compared to our previous harvest. The harvest from May is very translucent, and that is because what's mainly in this is nectar from our honey locust trees. So this is the honey from everything else. There's a lot of corn in this, I'm sure, from our 1.5 acre cornfield, lots of red clover in this, and then everything else from the garden and the summer harvest. So that is the difference in color. Also, you'll notice there's a lot of bubbles in this. That's normal. Once it settles into a jar like this, all the air bubbles will float up, and then it'll be more solidified looking like this. So anyway, all right, let's start packing our jars. Wow, that went so well. And look at all this honey. So we got 2 quarts, we got 6 pints, and then we got 15 half pints. And then we still have at least a quart worth of honey between what's dripping through there and still dripping here. And just a reminder for reference, every single bit of this honey came out of only 7 frames. That's not even a complete medium box, because a medium box holds 9 for honey. And the last tip that I'm gonna leave you with, and this is so helpful, it is do not wash anything that has honey on it. That includes this, and my bowls, and my strainers, and everything. When you're done with it, what you're gonna do is give it back to the hive. So you're gonna take every single bit of this and put it outside, lay it right on the ground in front of the hive, and the next day when the bees get up, they're attracted to the smell of honey. They will all come out, thousands of them will be all over it, and they will clean every single drop of honey off of everything. It's crazy. I did this for the first time back in May. The inside of this is obviously completely coated with honey, but when I put it out there, less than 12 hours later, I went out and I ran my hand along the inside of the honey extractor, completely smooth, not even sticky. It was like the entire thing was washed. It's unbelievable. So that's just a great way not to waste any of the honey. That way, any leftover honey that you have goes right back to your hive. And that's it. I hope you found this helpful. I promise harvesting honey is not near as scary or difficult as people make it out to be. I've only been a beekeeper for a year and a half, and quite honestly, I find the process very easy, and it's really therapeutic and just fascinating to be a part of. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Otherwise, happy homesteading and happy beekeeping.